Welcome back for session 2. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to join me here. A reminder, I am giving away a vibration plate generously provided by Life Pro. If you would like to be entered to win the Hexaplate Light, please make a comment in this or any of the lives or the recordings by tomorrow evening and let me know what you would use the vibration plate for. Also, during each individual session, I will be giving away a virtual coaching session with me. You do need to make a comment, and I will be drawing the name for the session winner at the end of each live. So if you are entering for the vibration plate, you must be a resident of Canada or the US and accept delivery in one of those two countries. For the session, the virtual sessions with me, does not matter where you are located. I will draw a name at the end of the session. I'll let you know when I'm cutting that off to make an entry. And I will name the winner at the end of today's session and the next one coming up advanced at 8 p.m. tonight. So I've already talked a while. We are moving on to our seated event, portion 2. Not dating myself, but for those of you that are joining me live, thank you. Think of this like an old school telethon. I am asking for donations if you are able. If not, no worries. It is free to attend and you will be able to view the recorded sessions later on if you're not able to attend all or stay for the entirety of this one. So if you are joining me for the first time, if you weren't in the last session and you're entering for the giveaways, please make sure that you make a comment, even if you're just letting me know where you're from. But I'd love to know why you would love to win the plate. And standing, why would we want to stand on a vibration plate? So a lot of you probably most traditionally think this is how you use a vibration plate, is you just stand on it. But just standing isn't always that simple. I got into a little bit of detail on the first session in settings and amplitude. How wide you stand or position your feet is going to increase the amount of movement. It's going to increase the amount of impact. So if you are starting from a place where you are able to bear weight, you're walking around, you're doing your day-to-day, but maybe you're dealing with arthritic knees or bad hips, or you're just terribly deconditioned and traditional activity just isn't for you at this time. So you can use your vibration plate seated or standing. Where can I donate? I did put details in the feed. If you would like to know where to donate, I appreciate that. You can also make a donation, I believe, through YouTube. I'm not sure how simple that transaction is. But there are details in the feed that you should be able to see if you want to make a PayPal donation to me directly. So standing exercises for those of you that are using a vibration plate in this fashion now. We're not going to get into a ton of fitness today. We will explore a squat and a few variations. But I would like to focus just a little bit more on the benefits of. The last session was great. Looking forward to this one. Thanks for being here again, Beth. And I assume I'm coming through okay on the other end. So I'm going to get to my next round of rambling. Now, even though this is a standing session, I do have a couple of chairs here still. Why? Well, as I said in session 1, maybe you want to do a combination of standing and seated exercises. Maybe you're working towards something. Standing is going to give you, let's say, more total body benefit because your body is bearing your entire body weight. You're bearing more mass. Oh, hang on. Did I unplug this? I turned it off. Because your body's bearing more mass, you are going to equate more to, what have I done? I've done something to my plate. I wiggled out the power cord. The technicals of live. Okay. So, bearing your total body mass on the plate is going to give more long-term benefits to the bones, to the strength, than seated. But absolutely, please, please, please do not think that if you are unable to bear weight, that you can't use your vibration plate. 9 times out of 10, it's just a modification to what you're doing. Perhaps the exercise itself, or maybe, as I said, it's a combination of standing and seated exercises. So you can have a bit more of a duration to your session, but maybe you can't handle the full session in a standing manner. So just like when we started in the first session, I just briefly want to cover, this means more shake, more amplitude, more intensity. This reduces it. So at any time in any of the exercises we're going through in this next segment, if things feel too intense or too strong, you're always in control. Bring those feet a little bit closer. And sometimes I advise that because you are doing targeting a particular body part. Maybe it's the spine or some old bad hip. So there's different reasons that we may change the amount of intensity that we're using. As a general starting point, I always recommend a faster speed with a complement of closer feet. So my model goes 60. I'm using oscillating movement. As I do, there's more things to control, and more of you have this movement. It's more preferred. So in case you don't see in the mirror, my knees are undone. There's no harm to locking your legs, but if you lock your legs, the resonance, the movement of the plate swings you like a pendulum, and all the movement is traveling upwards towards the head. If you bend those knees just slightly, the natural shock absorbers kick in, and you can hear it's less in my voice. You don't really need to feel it much past the collarbone. As you become more experienced, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting it into the head and the neck, unless there's reasons that you shouldn't be exposing those body parts to impact and like walking, jogging. So you use your own discretion. But I personally love standing tall and getting it into my neck. But I've been doing this 20 years and I know what feels good for me. So don't take on more than you're ready for. Starting out, a mid speed will be smoother. It's going to be less choppy. So the first move I want to start with is just loosening things up before we get to some of the mean stuff. And my favorite exercise, if you've never seen any of my sessions before, is a pelvic tilt. I love using a pelvic tilt to warm up my core. I've got low back and hip issues because of my bad knee that I never took care of. So tilting forward slightly, clenching those butt cheeks, holding for a couple, 3 seconds, tilting back. You should be able to see this movement clearly in the mirror. On the back tilt, you're going to feel a nice little stretch in the low back, okay? For those of you that followed my advice and are using your plates 2 to 3 minutes here and there as you need, instead of just standing there, the more you do, the more benefit you're going to get. You absolutely can just stand there. I get that question a lot. Well, can't I just stand there? Well, you can, but you're going to get more benefit and you're going to get more specifically aligned with your goals if you're doing exercises that complement them. Maybe you like doing little hulas. I've seen videos on pages where people use hula hoops. Good for you and your balance. But the whole point of this starting exercise is just to get a little bit of movement in the core. Now, for those of you that want a little bit more total body, for my ladies that might be working upper body, there's nothing wrong with adding a little movement. Maybe we're tilting, whatever feels good. There's no limit. You're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. Let's show you how to target the low back. I haven't talked about backs in a long time. Low backs are probably one of the top reasons a lot of my guys are using plates. I'm putting a stool in front of me because I'm going to do a couple of variations on an exercise. You'll see my position really well in the mirror. So to target the back, before we get into some meaner stuff, we're going to go from that knees slightly bent, as I said. And you can target the back in a couple of different ways. If it's severe, I recommend standing as the starting point. But before we do, I want you reducing intensity. So you've only got about an inch or two before where the heels are in contact with the plate. We're reducing the amount of movement and impact because we're targeting a very intricate delicate for some of you group of muscles and bones, which is the spine and the hips. So all we're going to do from our basic position of knees bent, we've brought our feet closer, we're still at that mid-speed range, is we're going to lock the legs, stand up, and we're going to bend over at the hips just slightly. And you're going to feel, just by changing your angle, it's kind of the butt cheeks and the low back now, okay? So when I'm doing my workouts, this is kind of a rest position that I use. So I feel like I'm doing like really mean squats and I need to take a break. Instead of stopping and getting off the machine, I stand up and I do this. And that pelvic tilt that we were just doing prior to this, if you are familiar with what a standing cat-cow looks like, there's a bazillion variations you can play with here as well. So we're going to tuck that bum forward, hold 2, 3. We're going to come back 2, 3. Again, if you're just joining me and you want to enter any of the giveaways, please make a comment as to why and what you would do with a vibration plate if you won it. I will be doing a draw for a session giveaway each session at the end of this. So your comment will be entered automatically for that, but it will also contribute to the larger giveaway at the end of the 3 sessions. And I also invite you to donate to my Debbie Telethon, the VIBRATHON. Keep me coming with free content. For those of you that are able to support me, I more than appreciate it. For those of you that cannot, I completely understand, but still want you to have access to this information so you can improve your experience on your plate. So for those of you that liked that one, where the stool comes in is we're going to get a little bit deeper into the low back. Really depends on you. Having a stool in front of you, if you're starting out standing and you're not so comfortable, maybe the balance or fatigue is an issue, it gives you something to hang on to. You might want to use something more with like the back. I mentioned that in the first session. So by putting your hands flat, the palms down on the surface of the stool, you get a little bit deeper into that low back. You may want to bend the knees slightly, but for me personally, I don't really feel it in the back as much as I'd like. Maybe that deficiency is on one side over the other. I showed you how to do the cat-cow and get into that lateral range of motion, but let's try something a little bit different. Let's move our hip. We're going to do a slight little movement while we're in that, okay? We're going to put our hands on the plate, and we're going to turn. You're going to feel a nice stretch on both sides. So we're turning the hips and the head the same way, holding 2, 3, back. The more you wiggle around and the more you manipulate, the more you kind of figure out what feels good for you. If this is feeling good and depending on your height, you can go further. Get the forearms on here. You can almost do a nice stretch on the hamstrings. Lean forward. Investing in just a counter bar height stool, depending on how tall you are, is a really good add-on, especially for some of this feel-good stuff. And for those of you that are dealing with mobility issues, a good stool is a great way, like I say, to break up that seated and the standing time and make your sessions a little bit longer should you decide. So now that we're a little bit loose and limber, let's get into another standing position. So maybe the goals are more fitness related. Again, you can just stand here, but you're going to get much more benefit if you be honest with yourself and do some positions that are aligned with your goals. One of the beauties about a vibration plate is when you can't do the moves that are aligned with your goal, the plate assists. So with something like a squat, where, you know, traditionally at the gym, you're busting your squats. For those of you with like arthritic knees and hips and problems, you know, sometimes that dynamic motion is just not something that you're able to perform. So while you're standing on the surface of the plate, whatever exercise that you're doing, these micro movements are forcing your muscles to do more. They're surging more lymph, more circulation, more balance, more stability. There's these forever benefits I talk about all the time on the plate. But if you want to burn calories, you need to boost the metabolism. You need to use the big muscles in those quads and those glutes. And you don't need to learn a big, elaborate routine. One good squat with a few variations will go a very long way. I've already talked 10 minutes. One moment, please. Reset. Okay. So I'm still working with a mid-speed range program if you prefer. My feet are hip width apart. And the first variation is going to be a static mid squat. So I want you focusing on a nice, good core, solid postures there, shoulders are back. And I want you lowering just to the point that is comfortable for you, kind of mid-range. I'm not going 90 degree, but I want you going to the point, if you do have a bad knee, bad hip, whatever, ankle, just what's range of motion for you. And just hold still. And just from going from this slightly knees bent to a mid position, we're feeling some more burn. The muscles are required to do more. Just like standing on the floor, this is easier than this. But the environment of the plate creates destabilization, additional muscular movement. So this is how all these extra benefits from doing the same exercise that you would do on the floor becomes more effective. But by holding still and pushing those muscles to a level of fatigue faster, less time on the joints, less inflammation, less irritating the inflammation that you do have. And when you're feeling tired and you're pooped and you can't do no more, stand up, maybe bring those feet a little closer and take a break, like I said, with that low back position. Maybe you just want to take a break and do a couple pelvic tilts. I prefer, personally, because I do still have a bad knee. That's how I got into this years ago. I had a bad knee. I was told I was fat and old by some doctor, and I was thrown out of his office for causing a scene. So even though I got a bad knee still, I just have learned what's good and what's not good for my knees. If I do move on the plate, it's very slow, very purposeful. Fast might be a little bit more of a cardiac effect, but with my bad knee, there's other ways that I target cardio. I really prefer just static or slow dynamic moving positions. So for those of you that don't want a whole lot of elaborate exercises, you do want to boost the weight loss. Maybe you're working on bone density. I did a session a couple times this week on adding mass. So I'm going to bring out a new toy here. So adding mass to your standing exercises, maybe you're not able to do a whole lot of elaborate moves, or maybe that's just not you. Maybe you don't come from a big exercise background and you just want something simple. Sometimes simplicity just makes it more doable. So LifePro has launched some adjustable kettlebells. This is the Power Stone. This is the lighter version. This goes up to 22 pounds. So one of the greatest ways to improve bone density and strength is by simply adding a bit of mass to your frame, whether that's a weight vest, some dumbbells, a barbell, or a kettlebell. By adding more mass to your exercises when you're standing on the plate, you're forcing those muscles and those bones to return the favor and support the activity that you're doing. You're challenging them to do more, and they'll respond by becoming stronger. The bones will become denser. If you're only expecting them to do the bare minimum's the results you're going to get. So we can go through that same exercise just by adding mass. On this one, maybe we want to work on the arms a little bit. We can add a bit of an arm move. So we're going to do that squat that we were just doing slowly. And at the same time, we're going to raise I've got only an extra 9 pounds up to my chest. So we're going to go down, hold, 2, 3, come back up. And just by adding that extra little bit of weight, the legs are working harder. You're burning more calories. You're boosting that metabolism. You're getting stronger. And all the while, you're still getting that turbo boost of lymph and circulation. And actually, at the same time, you're expediting recovery. A lot of people that aren't as sore as they'd expect to be, even though you did put the effort forth, with this surge of lymphatic movement and circulation, you're kind of expediting recovery while you're doing the exercise. So it's another way to look at the time saving. If you really are pushing for fatigue, ideally in my exercises, I like to fatigue within about a 1 minute time frame in my squats. If I'm not challenged and ready to quit by then, I make my squat more challenging. Maybe I do bring my feet a little bit wider, take on more intensity. Maybe I do pick up my pace a little bit for those of you that are conditioned and ready. Fitness is not a setting. It is not a speed on a vibration plate. It is putting forth a little bit of effort and respecting the body that you're in and working with. So if you do have deficiencies, just like in the seated session earlier, there's modifications that can be done. And weight is a great way to do that without having to get into a whole bunch of new elaborate moves. So standing exercises, again, assuming that you're able to stand on the ground. Some of you might be looking for a little bit more cardio. And this came to mind the other day. I had a question about, well, can I use my plate like some of those other companies do where like I'm jumping up and down on it? It's your plate. Do what you want. I personally, I'm diehard vibration plate enthusiast, trainer, expert, been 20 years. And, I don't particularly respect jumping all over something that is designed to elicit more muscular response. So for me, the best way to use a vibration plate is to be in contact with it. I don't like this type of thing. It's not my cup of tea. Most people can't handle the impact that I'm working with. You absolutely can use your plate in that fashion. Some do. But I seek a little further. Why would you want to do something like that on your plate? Well, you're probably looking for a little bit more cardio. Anybody who says you don't get any cardio workout on a vibration plate has never really used one. You get a huffing and a puffing. And for those of you that are dealing with blood, cardiac issues, a vibration plate is in a lot of ways kind of the awesomest thing that you can do because it increases exercise effectiveness while reducing time. Big deal on the fatigue thing. So if I am going to be doing dynamic, cardio stuff, I like doing like step ups. Maybe I did this in the earlier session. These are the new 5-pound ankle and wrist strap-on weights that come with Life Pro's new Flex Vest. So maybe you're doing something where, you could put these in your, strap them on your wrists or your feet. Some of these tools that you can use to add onto your vibration plate, if you're not working with weights now and incorporating them to your with your workouts, these things are great even just for going to walk. If you're doing other exercises, just adding mass to your day-to-day activities are a great way to boost that bone density, that strength, and the calorie burn long run. So that's just some ideas. If you don't have a huge arsenal of tools to incorporate with your vibration plate time, look around the house. Maybe it's a bag of rice, a couple of jugs of water, whatever to add more weight. So if you're coordinated and you want to do a little bit more of a circuit, you can maybe start with something like that. Maybe move into some squats. Anything you do on the floor, right? So you are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. The biggest difference between using your plate for standing type exercises versus seated is you're going to get more mass. The muscles, the bones are going to have to do more to support the additional weight of your entire body. For those of you that are beginning to bear weight, maybe you got a deficiency on one side, you got a bad leg or you've just had a hip replacement here, and maybe you're able to stand, but you're not quite comfortable putting your whole body on the plate yet. Putting one body part on at a time is absolutely a great way to use the plate. I've done this in a number of sessions in the past. Perhaps you're dealing with head sensitivities, or you're just scared. Maybe you've got retinal issues going on. It's up to you guys to be responsible and know what's going on within your body. I've had a lot of comments in the last couple of weeks about, you name it, vibration plates do this or vibration plates do that. And 99% of the time, if you do have an ill effect, it's because you've overdone something on a plate. And if you choose to follow the manual and go max time and max intensity right off the bat, that's your choice. I strongly suggest, if you're deconditioned or you're coming from a place of chronic issues at all, be realistic, reduce your time, reduce your intensity, and skip the manual and follow some of my guidance. So for those that want to bear weight, but I'm not okay on one side, or I don't like the head buzz. So this is the Aeroflex Step from Life Pro. It's perfectly level height, same as their vibration plates. So if you want to perhaps target one side maybe more than another, I've got the plate going with one side of my body, and I'm static on the other side. So you can stand with those knees bent, and you can really control the amount of resonance. Well, that's a little too much. Come back this way. Or perhaps, like I say, you want to, you're dealing with a deficiency on one side. This leg's doing all the work. It just needs a little extra attention. This is a great way to get started. For those of you that are doing martial arts, or you're doing, special types of exercises where you want a really wide stance, this is also a great way to target one side over the other in a fitness position, where you can stand wider than the surface of your plate, but you're targeting one side at a time. So you just do a rep on the other side. There's a number of ways that you can, just get creative in the positions, the tools that you're using. And I'm here to fill in the blanks on the rest. So the next session coming up is going to be advanced. We're going to get into some upper body. We're going to get into some core. And if I have any legs left, we'll do a few more squats. But I would like to come ask questions now. Just a quick reminder, if you are joining me for the first time and you're indecisive about which machine should I get, or where should I begin, I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel. Really everything that I offer should be freely accessible to you. You should not need other things as far as cost on how to use your machine, unless you want some personal attention or some specific programs. So I do offer personal coaching sessions virtually. I will be giving one away at the end of this session. So if you haven't commented already, I invite you to do so now. There's 2 giveaways. Just a quick reminder, one for a vibration plate, the Hexaplate Lite, is being donated generously by Life Pro. You must be in Canada or the US, and you must make a comment telling me why you should win a vibration plate. What would you do with it if you got it? If you are entering for a virtual session with me, anyone is welcome to participate in that because it is virtual. So we'll do a Zoom, a Google, FaceTime, something of that nature. I am going to start going through questions and give you just a couple more seconds to comment. My daughter is upstairs tallying names, and we will do a draw, and I will name them once we're done here. So hello, who is here again? Maddie, hello. Where can I donate? I think the comments, the details for the video should have a link to my YouTube channel, or you can donate through YouTube as well. Hello, Beth. The last session was great. Thank you again for saying that. And thank you for letting me know the sound is okay. Sometimes you switch between platforms and the volume isn't consistent. Oh, I love coffee. So Carol says, hello again. I have knee issues, have not pursued medical interventions, maybe arthritis, maybe lipedema, nodules, fibrosis. Anyway, ascending and descending stairs is painful. Squats are painful. Starting seated would probably be the best way. Going down the stairs are always worse than the going up. It's just the way that it is. Once you feel stable on the plate, I actually mimic those type of things where I step off the plate, turn around, step back on it to prepare. I'm the same. My studio's in the basement. And when I come down the stairs in the morning, my knees sound like little popcorn chunks going off. And once I spend a little bit of time on the machine, I don't hear the cricks and the cracks anymore. So get things moving. Even though it might sound silly, 30 seconds to a minute on that darn thing, seated or standing, before you go down the stairs, I think you'll notice an improvement. It's going to give you the balance. It's going to get things more fluid. Think of those joints as parts in a machine, and you got to get the lube and the oils and everything warm for them to function more effectively and running. So try that out. If you do have a plate, I recommend, again, try using it more often as a prep thing. Lane says, so glad you are demonstrating these. Thank you so much. I'm glad you are here enjoying it. Beth says, I registered for a red light therapy session and they had a vibration plate I could use. I didn't think about trying pelvic tilts on it. Such a great idea. I love my pelvic tilts or my little hulas. And yeah, you know, the more that you do, the more you're going to get as effect down the road, and the stability and the balance. And close your eyes. The best way to boost balance isn't doing balance moves, is it's just closing the eyes for 2 to 3 seconds while you're on the plate. Awesome way to boost balance without putting yourself in harm's way with some fancy one-legged balance move or something. Erla, welcome. Erla Irwin says, I'd like to enter the giveaway. I have knee issues and I'm having a vibration plate will help me get exercise here in Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, I love Phoenix. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with the lovely Dr. Karen Herbst at her home there a number of years ago. And I was so lucky when I was there. It was the annual time of year when all the cactuses in the park, the national park there, were blooming. So it was so cool. I'd never seen that before. The big ones that you see in the coyote movies. I love Phoenix. I know many times at this time of year and certainly in the summer that you got to get your workout done early in the day because it gets pretty hot in the desert later on after lunch and into the evening. So thank you for entering. D&D Pro is here. Hi, would like to give one of my, she has time with sciatica. Oh, if you search my channel in YouTube here, just type sciatica. There's a little move. I mentioned it in the first session that you can do seated on a chair. A lot of the things in my seated exercises, I mean, if you don't have a vibration plate, lots of people join me seated on a chair. But of course, it's better on the Vibe machine. But you can add, there's a couple of stretches that I show you specifically for the sciatic issues. And what with sciatic and some of these issues that come and go, just because you may have gotten relief, please don't stop doing the things that improved. You know, some of these moves that I show you, keep them going as a maintenance piece. You know, kind of like taking that Advil before the headache gets scorching. You know, it's going to kick in a lot more effectively if you give it time to do its job. So search that one up and let me know what you think on that one. I think it's an easy one. If she doesn't have a plate now, she can certainly try. There's a couple of moves I show you how to do in a chair. Just search my channel for sciatic. Jan says, I would love a vibration plate to help with my lymphedema and to hopefully lose some weight and get healthy. All of these things are possible. And there are, in my channel, I have a couple of different community groups on Facebook, one specifically dedicated to the lymphedema, lipedema, Durkheim's disease. There's other things I can't pronounce. Fat disorders community. I also have a large group dedicated to pediatric conditions. Started primarily as pediatric support for a number of children's hospitals that use vibration plates post-surgery. Many of my littles are dealing with cerebral palsy in different stages all over the place. But because I'm so symptom focused, you know, the condition is important, but sometimes the symptoms, as I say, are universal. So, you know, I have lots of different special needs, anything from autism, MS, fibromyalgia, arthritis. I have a lot of juvenile arthritis, diabetes, all types of different things. Again, a vibration plate is just a means of being active. And I support users as young as 6 months on a vibration plate. No harm in teaching our kids early that being active is something we need to commit to for life. Our conveniences are killing us, people. Carol says she has issues in her knees, medical, maybe arthritis. So yeah, consistent use with that. It's not just the exercise, it's symptom management tool for those chronic inflammation issues. Let me know how you make it on those pelvic tilts. Hello again, Erla. Now I just want to go back to Arizona. Jan Fenderson. Sorry, I totally screwed your name up. I would love a vibration plate to help with my lymphedema and to hopefully lose some weight and get healthy. I covered that off. Simple squats are the best way to cross the finish line without weight loss. And yes, you can lose weight with lipedema and lymphedema. Don't fall by the wayside of the stigmas. There's lots of talk, but there's like nothing out there for science to support that. It's just a rumor. And Liz says, thank you for this. My mom just turned 80 and has bad knees, so she can't walk much, squat, etc. for the exercises, but the vibration plate and especially sitting exercise will be so helpful for her. Oh, for sure, for sure. And the sleep and just everything else. As we age, that 70, 80 plus crowd, the density or the plumpness of the muscles, the skin tone, everything else keeps changing. And a vibration plate, that resonance, the movement itself, there's just so many wonderful benefits that my seniors and especially, a lot of times people think, well, more benefits and more features is going to keep it simple for the moms and the dads. You want something um, light enough that they can move it around. A lot of times part of using it often is having it somewhere it's accessible. So maybe, if it's in the basement in the gym and it's a 10-minute walk to get there, you're not going to use it 4 or 5 times a day. So sometimes having it somewhere in the kitchen or the living room where, it's in your mindset. And using it, anytime she's heading out the door or has other things to do, a minute or two here is going to give her that energy, that stability, and long term, the bones, the muscles, the strength. It's very surprising how quickly my seniors and my chronic users progress in the fitness things. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm using it 2 to 3 times a day or a week for fitness, but how come this other chick's having so much result? Well, if you're using it 6 to 7 days a week for pain and you're on it 10, 15 minutes a day, guess what? The bone density, the strength, a lot of those things come because you're just being consistent in using it. That's the passive side of these things. Andrea says, bought a plate, but haven't developed a consistent routine. Would learn to love how it could help knees and potential lymphedema. With the lipedema piece, the common one is, when you move, lymph moves. So use it often for the lymph piece, do some prep. And on the other goals, it's kind of what you want to gain. So maybe it's just starting on some light squats like I showed today. It does not need to be a big elaborate routine. Consistent regular use is really the key. Caraco says, I would love a vibration plate to improve my circulation and muscle strength. The circulation is the easy part. The muscle strength is a bit more of a midterm. You will feel stronger pretty quick, but the change in the shape and the feeling in the muscles, you'll notice a little bit further down the road, but be consistent with that. Tamara says, I'm back. The last session was cutting up for me. Please drop me a personal message. You were the winner of last session. So, Tamara, you won the personal coaching session with me for the seated session. Thank you for getting back to me. That's awesome. Blame it on Cricket. Liz says, what is today's price for the massage gun? It was like $70-ish. It was so cheap. Let me see if I have it up here. That's 70 Canadian. Everything converts for me because I'm in Canada. So let me see here. I'm going to drop the massage gun in the feed. And if you use my code Debbie20 only with Life Pro Direct in the US, you'll get an extra 20% off. So the gun's 33% off right now. With my discount, it's 50% off, 53% off. I showed in the last session. I didn't show it in this session. This is like game changer. Life Pro doesn't even know how cool this gun is yet. Watch this. So for those of you dealing with lymphatic issues, that hammering of a massage gun isn't always the dream. This is rotating, circular. So watch this puppy. I think I get a good light here once it starts up. Come on. What did I do? No, I did. I have these silly fingernails on from Halloween. What did I do? There, sorry. Okay, so this spins, rotates versus hammers. And there's 6 different settings. You just keep hitting. But it skims the surface of the skin. If you've watched any of my massage gun tutorials. And for those of you, this is the standing session. But if you are dealing with grip issues, for those of you that have older parents, they're not going to get down and do push-ups or sit on their hands on the plate like I do. But a massage gun, the resonance it creates just hanging onto it is just an awesome way to get the hands. If you've got neuropathy, Raynaud's, those type of sensitivities, game changer. Who else do we have here? Beth is here again. I have a weighted vest and I haven't tried it yet. I got, I did nothing but weighted vest and kettlebell sessions this week, and I haven't said it yet. But everybody needs to know how screaming my thighs and my ass are right now. I've done like a session every night since Wednesday. And I've been showing off with the new Flex vest. There's a couple sizes. But vests are a great tool for those of you also dealing with arm issues, or if you want to do on the ground exercises. It's attached to your frame, even just going for a walk. I've always used a weight vest. But I'm really excited to have the two options, and the ankle weights that I was showing you earlier are included with the Flex Fest. I'll maybe drop a link to that later on today. Tamara says, oh, so now you know you won. Thank you for coming back. A&M Fraser says, love that sometimes that point hurts so bad. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And then Tamara says, is it safe in multi-minute? Yes, absolutely. If you missed the last part of my session, symptom management or, just wellness and feel good stuff, using the machine often in short sessions is a great approach for symptom management. Let the symptoms drive when you need a fix, and just keep it short, 2 to 3 minutes. Maybe you're standing, maybe you're sitting down, getting the elbows going, but minimal time on that. I'm going to give a call here and wrap up questions because I do need to be live again here in 15 minutes. Hello, Susan. Amazing tool. Wow. Thank you for getting a comment in. I'm going to cut it off at Susan. Yeah, Deandra, go ahead and tally the names and she'll text me a name here in a minute. I will be live for an advanced session here in 15 minutes. I just need time to go catch my breath. If you want to be entered for the vibration plate giveaway that will be happening tomorrow, need to make a comment on one of the 3 lives. There's one coming up here in another 15 minutes. And tell me what you'd use it for. Why do you need a vibration plate? What would you use the Hexaplate light for? And anyone entering a comment during the live will be entered for the giveaway of a session. For the machine giveaway, you have to be in Canada or the US, and it has to take delivery there. For the session with me during each live, anyone, anywhere can join that or can take advantage of that. So we'll do a Google, a Zoom, FaceTime, whatever suits best for you. If you do not have a vibration plate, you are welcome to still book, win, and then have a discussion with me. If you'd rather wait, you're thinking about getting a plate and you want to save that session for another time, there's no expiry date. If I do select you as the winner, which I will be announcing here very shortly, please send me a personal message through YouTube. I need some information just to set up a time with you and get the information on how to get the session. Or if you do not have a Facebook, you'd have to have a profile to comment here, but you can also make the comment on a recorded basis. I'm going to give you guys some time. So if you were unable to join me live, you won't be able to participate in the free session giveaway, the virtual session, but you can enter for the vibration plate giveaway. Just make a comment on the recording and I will add those names to the draw for the machine giveaway tomorrow night. So thank you everyone for joining me. I just want to see. Is Lane to Where still here? Lane to Where, you have been drawn by my daughter Deandra as the winner of the live session training, the virtual with me. So for this standing segment, the winner of the session with Debbie, are you still here? Lane to Where. So I'm not sure what your name is. Lane, I'm going to type your name. You are the winner. So please send me a message through Facebook. And I'll tell you how to get in touch with me so we can arrange a time. You won the training session. Congratulations. Give me 15 minutes, guys. I will be back here for the final advanced session. And thank you so much for joining me today, guys. This is a great way to spend a Sunday. It's been too long. I love being on the fly. If you have any questions at all, most of them are in the form of a video on my YouTube channel. So please search there if you're looking for something more specific, contraindications, safety, any of those things. My getting starting video is something I recommend checking out as well. It's a 6-minute crash course covering the rambling I've done for the last 2 hours so far. So I look forward to seeing you guys in 15 minutes back here for the advanced session. Don't go too far. Talk to you soon.